Good morning, grade 7. So how are you today? So this would be our fifth pre-recorded lesson. So for today, we're going to study phrases and clauses. We're going to find out what is a phrase and what is a clause. Also, we're going to find out the different types of phrases and clauses. So when we say phrases or phrase, it is a group of related words within a sentence that lack subject and predicate or verb. Okay, so just a quick review. So when we say a subject, it is the one we are talking about in the sentence, and it is the doer of the action. Okay, and the predicate is the action or the verb in the sentence. So phrase can be a subject alone or a predicate alone. So it does not include the subject and the verb at the same time. And it does not convey a complete message or thought. So that is a phrase. So here are some examples of phrase. First, after school. So is it a group of related words? Yes. Is there a subject or a predicate? No. Does it convey a meaning? No. Therefore, it is a phrase. Okay? Next, in the principal's office. So it is a group of related words? Yes. Is there a subject or a predicate here? No. Does it convey a meaning? No. So again, it is a phrase. Next, while it was raining. So same with first sentence, rather, or first and the second example. So while it was raining is also a phrase because it does not have a subject and a predicate. It also not a complete thought. Okay, so that is a phrase. It is not a complete sentence. It does not convey a complete thought or message. All right, so that is phrase. Now let's start studying about the different types of phrases, and let's begin with noun phrase. So when we say noun phrase, it contains a noun and any associated modifier. So the modifier can be before or after the noun. If it comes before the noun, it's likely to be an article or a possessive pronoun, an adjective, or a participle. Okay, so that is noun phrase, contains a noun and a modifier. So here are some examples. First, the glistening snow covered the field. So the noun phrase here is the glistening snow. So the phrase here acts as a subject in the sentence. And the glistening snow is a noun phrase wherein the snow is a noun and the glistening is the modifier that modifies the word snow. Okay? So next we have the end of the season is hard for some athletes. So the noun phrase here, the end of the season, is acting as the subject in this example. So the five words in the noun phrase work together to name a period of time that it is hard for the athletes. Okay, so end of the season is our noun phrase for number 2. Next, the Bohemian house was decorated for holidays. So in this example, the Bohemian house is the noun phrase acting as a subject in the sentence. All right, so that is noun phrase. Now let's proceed to another type of phrase, which is prepositional phrase. So when we say prepositional, rather, it usually tells when or where. So let's find out what is prepositional phrase. So prepositional phrase, it consists of a preposition and its object, either noun or pronoun, and any words modifying the object. Okay, so are you familiar with your prepositions? So when we say prepositions, it indicates relationships between other words in a sentence. So some prepositions tell you where something is or when something happened. Okay, so here are some examples of common prepositions. You don't have to memorize it, just familiarize and understand. All right. So now let's have some examples of prepositional phrase. So first, the book on the bathroom floor is swollen from shower steam. So here, our preposition is on the bathroom floor. So you will be asking which book. So the answer is on the bathroom floor. So it is a prepositional phrase because it consists of a preposition on and its object, the bathroom floor. Okay, so next example we have the sweet potatoes in the vegetable bin are greened with mold. So here, which sweet potatoes? So the answer is in the vegetable bin. So our preposition rather here is in. Okay, so next number 3 we have the note from Beverly confessed that she had eaten the leftover pizza. So which note? It is from Beverly. Okay, so our preposition here is from. All right, so that is prepositional phrase. It consists of a preposition and its object. Now that we are done with prepositional phrase, let's proceed to the verb phrase. This is the easiest phrase, so sit back, relax, and listen carefully. So verb phrase, it is made up of a main verb and its helping verb. So when we say helping verb, it is also known as auxiliary verb, and the words in the verb phrase are next to one another. But sometimes the parts of a phrase are separated by words that are not part of the phrase. So let's take a look with some helping verb. So here are some list of helping verbs that we use to form verb phrase. So first is to be form or what we call the be verb. So we are using the am, is, and are for present tense. So am and is for singular and are for plural. So was and were for past tense. So was is singular, where is plural. So that is the be verbs. Next, we have to have form. So here, has is for singular, have for plural. Has and have in the past form, that is had. Okay, so we have to use had for both singular or plural in the past form. Okay, again, has singular, have plural in the present form, and had for the past form, either plural or singular. Okay, next we have the do form or the do verb. So do for plural, does for singular, present tense, and did both singular or plural in the past form. All right, so next we have modals. So modals are also considered as helping verbs. So we have the can, could, may, might, should, would, shall, and many more. Okay, so that is helping verbs. So let's have some examples for verb phrase. So those girls are not trying very hard. So our helping verb, or rather the verb phrase is are not trying. And our helping verb is are. Our main verb is trying. So in this example, the main verb and the helping verb are separated. Okay? So again, the main verb is the action word. Next, we have Uma is coming with us to the movie. So our verb phrase is coming, where is the helping verb and coming is the main verb. All right, so next, number 3, we will distribute pamphlets rather, as a part of our presentation. So here our verb phrase is will distribute, wherein will is a modal, okay, a helping verb, and distribute is our main verb. So very easy, right? So we're done discussing with phrases. Now let's go to clauses. So what is a clause? So it is a group of words that has a subject and a predicate. So some clauses are independent, meaning they can express a complete thought, and some clauses are dependent. So it means they need or they depend on the independent clause, and they cannot stand alone. Okay, so dependent clause have a subject and a verb but do not express a complete thought. All right, so we're going to study what is independent and what is dependent clause. All right. Independent clause, it has a complete thought and can stand alone. Okay, so it is also known as the main clause, the part of the sentence that does not only contains a subject and a predicate, but also it makes a perfect sense if we take it out of the sentence. In other words, we can say that this clause does not need a context to make sense. So we have here some example. My brother Kiko once had a very peculiar chicken. So it is an example of independent clause because it has a complete thought and it can stand alone. So here are some examples of independent clause. So first, I enjoy sitting by the fireplace. So I is our subject and enjoy is our predicate. So even though the two words I enjoy, it is a complete thought. Okay? So next, we have waiting to have my car's oil changed is boring. So here our subject is waiting to have my car's oil changed, and is our predicate. It is a complete thought, an independent clause. All right, so next we have she wants to travel the world and see wonderful lights. So our subject here is she and our verb is wants. So she wants is an independent clause because it has a complete thought. All right, so that is independent clause. So now let's have dependent clause. So what is dependent clause? It cannot stand alone and needs an independent clause to complete its thought. Okay, so here it was peculiar because no one could tell whether it was a rooster or a hen. So the underlined group of words here are examples of dependent clause. Okay, so it started with because, and because is an example of subordinating conjunctions. Therefore, dependent clause is sometimes called subordinate clause. Okay, so it may appear at the beginning or at the end of the sentence. A dependent clause, it is very easy for you to identify because it is always started with the subordinating conjunctions. Okay? Okay. Now, let's have some examples for you to understand well. So first we have, after I studied my lesson, I got high score in the test. Okay, so here the sentence is separated. One is dependent clause and the other one is independent clause. Okay, so in this sentence, the dependent clause is after I studied my lesson. Okay, so here it is a dependent clause because if you take it out from the sentence, it will not stand alone, which means it will not express any sense or meaning. It will depend on the independent clause. I got high score in the test. You got it? Okay. So next we have, so here, because I forgot to bring my cell phone, I was not able to text my mother. So our dependent clause here is because I forgot to bring my cell phone. And because is a subordinating conjunction. And of course, same with example number 1. Because I forgot to bring my cell phone is a dependent clause and it will not stand alone, and it means it cannot express a complete thought. It will depend on the independent clause. I was not able to text my mother. Okay, so again, after I studied my lesson, because I forgot to bring my cell phone, are examples of dependent clause. They cannot stand alone on their own. They depend on the independent clause to make their thought or ideas complete. Okay, so that is dependent clause. So for you to identify the dependent clause, you have to familiarize the subordinating conjunctions, okay? So when we say subordinating conjunctions, these are parts of speech that join dependent clauses to independent clauses. Sometimes they refer to subordinators or subordinate conjunctions, okay? So they are the essential parts of complex sentence. So here are some lists, so you don't have to memorize, just familiarize and understand, okay? All right. So this is all for today, grade 7. Again, this is Teacher Mitch, your English teacher. Bye everyone. Have a nice day.